Presiding Officer, this year started with Humza Yousaf as Health Secretary, and throughout the year, things in our NHS have got worse, not better. Over 425,000 patients waited more than 4 hours at A&E this year. Almost 55,000 of them were there for over 12 hours. And at the start of the year, 767,938 people were on an NHS waiting list. Now that stands at 828,398. First Minister, why is it that everything you touch breaks?
First Minister.
Presiding Officer, you know Anas Sarwar loses the argument when he goes for the personal attacks, which is what he does regularly and very often. Let me give Anas Sarwar some of the statistics, of course. In the budget that we have brought forward, which Anas Sarwar and his Labour colleagues have, of course, opposed, we are giving a record investment of over £19.5 billion to the NHS. That is a budget, of course, that is ensuring we have the best NHS paid staff compared to anywhere in the UK. It's a budget that gives, of course, a pay uplift to our care workers. As for NHS waiting lists, of course, there are challenges. The global pandemic has impacted health services in Scotland, in Wales, in Northern Ireland, and indeed in England and right across the world. But we are making progress. If we look at outpatients, long waits in outpatients, I can hear the Labour benches shouting we're not. Well, let me give you the statistics. When it comes to outpatients, the longest waits, those 2-year targets, the numbers waiting over 2 years for a new outpatient appointment is down 69%. When it comes to inpatients, numbers waiting longer than 2 years for inpatients was reduced by 26%. So we'll continue to invest in our NHS. Wouldn't it be good if Labour supported a budget that is giving record investment to our NHS, Presiding Officer?
Anas Sarwar.
Presiding Officer, I was quoting Humza Yousaf's record, and let me quote it again. You were the Transport Minister when the trains were never on time. When you were Justice Secretary, the police were stretched to breaking point. And as Health Minister, we've got record high waiting times. No, I'm not quoting Jackie Bailey. I'm sure even she would struggle to be that harsh. I'm actually quoting Kate Forbes, who sat round the Cabinet table with Humza Yousaf. And on Tuesday, we saw the consequences of SNP incompetence, waste and a failure to grow our economy. Affordable housing funding cut by £200 million in the middle of a homelessness crisis. Mental health services cut in real terms in the middle of a mental health crisis. And the Fuel Insecurity Fund scrapped altogether in the middle of a cost of living crisis. This is the most devastating budget in the history of devolution. So why is it, on his watch, that Scots pay more and get less?
First Minister.
Actually, on my watch, of course, because of the actions that the Scottish Government has taken, it's estimated that 90,000 children will be lifted out of poverty this year in Scotland. And you know what won't help? What won't help with tackling child poverty is a 2-child limit that Anas Sarwar now supports retaining. What won't help, of course, is a bedroom tax that Keir Starmer and Anas Sarwar now, of course, support retaining. And on my watch, of course, and this government's watch, we have more young people from areas of higher deprivation going to university than ever before. And yes, there was challenges in the budget. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Let's look at why there's challenges. There's challenges because we've had over 13 years of Conservative austerity. Let me read what the Welsh Labour Finance Secretary said.
Briefly, First Minister.
Said, this is the toughest financial situation Wales has faced since the start of devolution. Our funding settlement, which comes largely from the UK Government, is not enough to reflect the extreme pressure Wales faces. So why is it that Labour in Wales have the backbone to challenge Tory austerity, but Anas Sarwar and Scottish Labour don't?
Anas Sarwar.
Presiding Officer, don't worry. In 2024, we're getting rid of them. What we need to do is get rid of the SNP incompetence at the same time as well. Because I'm surprised he didn't talk about his so-called progressive tax rise, which is going to raise £82 million. That would buy you a fifth of an SNP ferry that hasn't even sailed yet. He is simply not a serious politician. And this First Minister is so out of touch.
Members.
This First Minister is so out of touch. He thinks if you earn almost £29,000, you should pay more tax in Scotland than in the rest of the UK. These are not the people with the broadest shoulders, but they're being forced to pay the price for his failures in the middle of a cost of living crisis. Now, Presiding Officer, 2023 will be remembered as the year when the SNP were found out. They have broken the NHS, they have broken the justice system, they have broken the housing system, they have broken the public finances, they have broken the public's trust, and they seem to have broken their party in the process. 2023 was a bad year for the SNP. Does Humza Yousaf think 2024 is going to be any better?
First Minister.
Talking about broken, all Anas Sarwar does is sound like a broken record, Presiding Officer. Time and time again, he comes here demanding more money for public services, but opposes every single revenue-raising power and policy that we bring to this Parliament. And of course, that's the Anas Sarwar of 2023. The Anas Sarwar who is touting for the Labour leadership put out a letter demanding a 50p rate for those who earn 100,000. What happened? What happened? That was before. Presiding Officer, he mouthed, that was before.
Members.
So the one thing that absolutely won't change in 2024, Presiding Officer, is that Anas Sarwar will say one thing one day and then another thing another day. Because we know, Presiding Officer, we know that Anas Sarwar is not a serious politician. He doesn't think for himself. He waits until he gets the memo from head office. And I don't know if Anas Sarwar has sent his letter to Santa, but if not, he should ask for a backbone, Presiding Officer, because if he finds that backbone, maybe he'll stand up for Scotland as opposed to standing up for Keir Starmer.
Thank you. We move to question number 3, and I call Mark Cross.